Hello, hello.
Hello. We have a frozen Jayden.
Yep.
A blurred and frozen Jayden, which is a really fantastic start to a live stream.
Yep. It isn't the best start, but hopefully we can get Jayden back with us in a second.
Guys, can you see me? Guys, can you see me?
We can hear you, and we can see you as a frozen object on the screen.
Right. Okay, bear with me 2 seconds, folks. Oh no.
Oh, you're back.
Right, can you see my face?
A little bit grainy, but yeah, you're good.
Unfortunately, we can see your face. Yes.
Right, guys. What I'm going to do is I've got another browser open. Unfortunately, I was streaming from Instagram Live, so I'm going to have to end it there. But we'll leave it on here. Just folks, just for those of you who've tuned in, we're obviously going to stay on this live stream. I've just got to shut down a few browsers because something's not quite working here. Obviously not the start we wanted. I gave it the big build up backstage to Burge and Simon that we're going to stream from Instagram, and clearly that's causing a bit of an issue. Just do me a massive favor, if you could just give it a share on whatever platform you're watching this on, whether it's LinkedIn, whether in one of those WhatsApp groups that talk about NFTs and crypto, that would be really appreciated. I'm going to close a couple of these browsers and we should be fine here. Bear with me 2 seconds. Simon, if you could just kick things off with the introduction, just while I get stuff sorted in the background, that'd be appreciated, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was just going to ask you, Burge, what have you been up to this week? What's been the highlights of your week?
Oh, I'm trying to think. To be fair, this week, actually, I guess one of the big things for this week is I went to at the weekend. I went to a card show. I was vending at a card show, representing VeeFriends. You know, trying to get the physical collectibles out there, some exposure, so that people can start to discover what VeeFriends is. Because obviously, when we're on these lives and we're in this space in general, you know, we become very insulated a little bit. But you know, the outside world and the public hardly knows of any of these brands. You know, they don't know of VeeFriends. They don't know Pudgy Penguins. Most don't even know about Bored Ape, which is probably, I would say, the one that might be most recognizable. So yeah, I mean, VeeFriends, obviously a big part of their universe is physical collectibles, and I'm basically showcasing that. So I had a whole like double table spread, banners up, and basically trying to get the brand out there. I mean, the card show primarily was Pokemon and a bit of sports as well. So when people see a new brand that they've never seen before and never heard of, a lot of them are curious. And then at the same time, you know, it is a lot of effort. You know, like you have to stop people in that split second when they're looking over and they're taking an interest, or they're just checking it out, and you have to try and stop them and get them to spend a bit of time with you to understand the brand. But I often find that I get a really, really positive feedback from these people in terms of, you know, what the brand's been able to do over the last 2 or 3 years. It's a lot to take in, but when these people are looking at VeeFriends and they're seeing the Funko Pop collab and the Squishmallows collab, and they're seeing this Topps Chrome multi-year partnership, these are real big they're big deals in the physical collectible space. So people really react to that. So yeah, that's kind of, I guess that's probably the highlight of the last week since
that's great. Yeah, and what you said then was quite interesting about, in our world, this space feels vast, doesn't it? You know, occupies this big space in our minds, but of course the outside world, we're just a tiny little speck for so many people. But it's really interesting you did this was a collectibles event, was it? Because of course collectibles, physical collectibles, are becoming hotter and hotter again.
Yes, yeah. So it was a card show primarily, but you know, you always have a few vendors with a bit of a mix of things. You know, sometimes people are selling plushies, etc. But primarily cards. Cards has been a big deal in the UK. It's been growing a lot. These card shows have been popping up all over, and a lot of these card shows that have been running now for a few years are getting bigger and bigger each year. So it was good to be part of it. I'm really close to the card scene in the UK, and also have like been over to the US as well and seen how big it is over there. So we're still some way behind the US, but yeah, there's no doubt that this is the real deal. Like this is a growing sector in the UK, and I expect it to keep growing in the coming years as well.
I wonder what's triggered it. I wonder what's triggered this sudden growth in interest.
I mean, I think Pokemon as a brand is definitely the one that's leading the charge. I think we hit a really interesting time with Pokemon where basically you had the nostalgia of people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s remembering, in their childhood when they were watching the cartoon, or when they were playing the video games for the first time, or when they were collecting the cards when they first came out. And then you also have those same people. So you have like this nostalgia effect where the people now with a bit of money in their hands, who are working, can now afford to buy these collectibles of these Pokemon cards, maybe some vintage cards or modern cards, rare cards that people are willing to spend a fair amount on. Then you've also got the fact that the new generation is also still, like, Pokemon hasn't gone away by any means. So you've also got this new generation of people getting into things. So I see a lot of the time, I mean, I see a lot of people, around my age, but I also see people older than me, but I also see them, parents and kids, and they're both getting into it because the parents have nostalgia and they are kind of into it themselves. And the kids are also like, well, this sounds amazing. Pokemon, this whole universe with all these different characters, like, it's still appealing to kids growing up now. So I think it's a really it's like a perfect timing for Pokemon. And, we've seen it with how much that market has exploded. And that's essentially dragging the whole rest of the collectible market up and making collectibles trendy again. And then with that, people are looking at, these new collectibles, like whether it be a One Piece, the One Piece cards, or whether it be sports, maybe football or UFC or F1, or you've got other brands as well. I'm trying to think of a couple of other brands that have, Disney Lorcana, for example, and Disney Topps Chrome. So I don't know, it feels like there's the collectible space has definitely grown a ton all around the world. But in the UK, I mean, I didn't expect such a surge. And what I've seen over the last 4 years is that, like, a big rise.
Well, I agree. And also, Pranksy, and it was quite interesting because he did this. Do you remember a few months ago, he did an NFT launch as a membership token, and I actually bought one, but he was disappointed that he didn't get the take up that he thought he would, but he still kept the Discord going, and those people who actually did buy one are still part of that Discord. And I pop in there occasionally and just seeing some of his posts on X, and he's clearly pivoted quite a lot to physicals. He thinks that's the big space. And what I'm thinking is, but there is always going to be, as this whole space matures, that reconnection back to digital assets. And then it's the marriage between the two. It's the relationship between the two. You don't have to have one or the other. They can work in harmony. And I know, certainly with my teenage children, I might have mentioned this before, it's bizarre because they're actually, or in fact, a bit more grown up than that. They are saying things like, they want to have meetups. They want to be in person. They want to go back to a bit of that. I mean, they've only ever known digital. In my 16-year-old boy has only ever known it. So I think there is a bit of a craving for that. And then the next stage for me is that connection between the two. They can work in harmony. They're both incredibly exciting. And the digital aspect can add other layers to what you can't get in the physical experience. And the physical experience clearly gives you a connection that we all really need. And I know we'll talk about this later. But of course, the fact that you have actually organized this meetup at the end of the month
Yes, yep.
It's fantastic. And I have spread the word, by the way.
Thank you,
and
Simon.
I know you mentioned things like Kimpers, the Del Mondos, my new love. And
World of Women.
V Friends, who you've got me into. And so that's fantastic. You've done that. And that's about 24th of Feb or something, isn't it?
Yes, Tuesday the 24th of Feb. If you're in the UK and you want to attend, hit me up on the DMs. But yeah, we're getting a bunch of communities involved. The idea is it's called On-Chain Society, and the idea is to launch and to host these IRL events where people in the UK in the NFT and crypto space can connect. So bringing different communities together. Hopefully, it'll be a lot of fun. We'll have some food and drink there as well, and hopefully, it'll be filled with a bunch of great people and some great conversations as well. So yeah, really looking forward to that.
I really like, and the fact is, what's lovely is you're bringing everyone together. I just heard Jayden bark in the background.
Yes, I did. I did hear him.
Can you see me? Because I can see myself on the screen.
I can see. We can see a frozen picture of you.
Yeah, we can.
It's been there for the entire time.
That's
you
probably
that's locked in.
See, I could jump off stage, but I don't know if it's going to end the stream or not. So just bear me 2 seconds. But can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you
very clearly.
Okay. I might just dive off stage quickly. I don't know if it's going to end the stream or not.
If it does, we'll be back in a moment. By the way, everyone,
we'll be back in a moment for the 79 of you. I do apologize for the technical issue.
If it dies,
if it dies, just make sure you dive back in. We'll message you back. Just bear with me 2 seconds.
No,
hopefully. Oh no, we're still live. We're still live.
What about now?
This is good. It's loading.
It's loading. It's like a trailers for a movie.
It's now a black screen.
It's building up. It's now gone another color. You're now, at least the photo's gone, which is a relief. But the
guys, can you hear me?
We can hear you, but you're a black screen.
Nice background music, Jayden Locus said.
That's
the highlight of this stream.
About 20 minutes ago. Appreciate it, Loca. We've been Jayden's been working on that intro. Jayden, so
but just go on.
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Yeah, let's go for it. Visual effects. Let's just have a look at what this does.
Maybe try and reselect your camera again. Your webcam.
Yeah.
By the way, just while you're doing that, I just thought it'd be quite interesting what you were saying, you know, there used to be, didn't there, a while ago, and we talked about this, that was it the NFT UK organization that was a couple of years ago was organizing events, but they've disappeared, haven't they? And I haven't actually had an opportunity at meetups to meet up with different communities. It's usually, if I have gone, it's a World of Women or whatever it might be, and not actually a collective, which is I think it's a really nice idea.
Yeah. I mean, that's the idea of it. And I mean, I remember going to a few NFT UK events, and I think it definitely brought in people from different communities. So that was, you know, one of the only times in the last few years where I've got to meet people from different communities. I mean, another one would, I guess, be VCon, which was a conference over in the US based around VFriends. But it really actually attracted people from the whole NFT and crypto space. So I got to meet lots of people through that. And then, you know, the likes of NFT NYC. I don't know if you attended NFT London, Simon, but that was another.
Yeah.
So that was something, again, that brought a lot of communities together. But now, obviously, with the market where it's at, a lot of these things have kind of, you know, either stopped or just aren't happening anymore, or not on a regular basis. And so I feel like there's a gap. I also feel like there's a need for it. Like you were saying, I think, you know, it's really healthy to be able to meet people from these different NFT communities or just from crypto in general. I mean, even with,
I agree.
One of the reasons why I really wanted to make sure I got an event in January or February was NFT Paris closing down. That was really sad.
Yes. Yeah. That was a real blow, actually. It didn't help, did it? The whole feel of this market in this space.
And I think, like, on that point, I think there's been a couple things that we've seen as well, like that have come around at a similar time where they're sunsetting. I know I was going to get to something later on talking about Nike's blockchain or Web3 platform called .swoosh, and they're sunsetting that. And you're going to have to, if you have anything on those wallets, you're going to have to export them out to a different wallet. The same, I think, happened just recently with Nifty Gateway. We mentioned it on the live. There's quite a few things that are shutting down or sunsetting right now. So obviously that doesn't really help to uplift the vibe in the space, I guess.
No. But what's interesting for me is it's kind of ironic, because whilst that is happening, at the same time, genuinely, those teams who have stayed and are just working really, really hard in the background and are making real strides. I mean, they're doing tangible things, real world things, and whether it's developing a product in the background, activations, partnerships, just things I see in the background going on, or fairly explicitly, people are actually building. And that's why, despite everything, it feels exciting to be in this space. Particularly, it's a bit like when we talk about crypto and we're thinking, how come all the conditions seem to be really right for prices to go up in crypto?
It's odd,
and
isn't
yet there's a conflict, and there seems to be these two quite opposite dynamics going on. But when you're in it and you stick with it and you believe in certain things, certain communities, certain teams, it's actually even more exciting, because I think it brings people together even more. Those who are here, those who are in this for the long run and who care and are equally slightly mad and nerdy. And I always think people who are in this space, unless they are here to flip and just make a quick buck, are quite are sort of dreamers in a way, because it's the kind of excitement of being at the cutting edge of something, the Wild West, at the adventure, the possibilities of things that haven't yet happened. And I think it taps into a particular personality type. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
And that's where we connect. All three of us connect. I think we connected to Carrot Lane.
I mean, if you look at that, I don't know if you're familiar with that graph where you've got like at the beginning you've got like the early adopters and the innovators, and that's like that is that group of people. It's not a lot of people, but that group of people I'm really interested in connecting with more. I mean, I've connected with you and Jayden, with the people in the founders chat in the Carrot Lane group has been amazing. I mean, if Jayden was to do like an event each year where he was like, come on, everyone come to this event if you can. I know a lot of those folks are from the US, but if we could get everyone together for once a year, that would be an amazing event, I'm sure. And it's actually one of the reasons why I really wanted to do these events is because I'm actually really curious to get to know the people that are still in it now, rather than wait for a bull run, right? Wait for the hype to come back into the space, wait for a lot more people to enter the space, and then start doing IRL events. Like, I want to know the people now that are still in it, that are diehards, that are fanatics, that are just as crazy as us, but believe in it in the future. Like, I really feel like I would connect with those, or we will connect with those people on a really deep level. So yeah, that's another reason why I'm, I know it's an interesting time to start launching maybe a business around IRL events, but I really believe in it, and I really
think what you've hit is a real nerve. So as I said, I'm actively promoting. I really hope people do make an effort if they can possibly do it, because people always say, why can't we meet up? Why can't we connect? You always get a different energy when you leave those sessions. You've met people in a different way to you would online. It just feels completely different. It's much more meaningful. You have really good conversations, create opportunities that you don't try and push just for the sake of it, and try and you just happen naturally, and things open up. And I think it'd be great if people could come along. Jayden, you're now very, very high up compared to us. We're like little.
Can you see me though?
Yes, we can see you. Yes. You're clear. We can hear you. You're back.
We are so back. I had to shut down a 1,000 tabs. I don't know what I've deleted. I'm probably getting my seed phrase bloody taken off. Not that it's on my laptop. I would absolutely never do that. But I'm just saying, I hear these stories of people that get on Zoom and they're like, oh, they've actually just hacked into my computer. So I'm just having a bit of a meltdown in the background here. This is the first time this has ever happened that I'm the one who's frozen. It's usually the technical issues that we have to deal with.
With Simon, yeah.
I was just
because I'm very old and I don't know what I'm doing.
Do you know how karma comes around to kick you in the ass? Before we got onto this live, I said to the guys just playing around that I usually get a text from Simon at about, because we agreed to meet on the hour and we have half an hour of kind of warming up beforehand, and it's either me or Burge, or it gets in the WhatsApp chat that Simon needs the link for StreamYard, which is the streaming service. And I'm like, it's always you, Simon. And there I am.
I know. I feel like a really old man. What did you say? The link again? And it's like, Christ.
I've got a little hamster doing this thing on a bloody Ferris wheel on the back, and I've got people saying you should be using a MacBook Pro. I'd never use a MacBook Pro. I have no idea how to use those things. I just prefer I'm not even going to say what laptop I'm on because someone will probably hack into it.
We need to take that comment from Loka down. I mean, he's been complimenting the nice background music for the last 26 minutes.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I can't actually see.
Oh, you can't do it.
I can't actually because I've come out of it. So we're gonna have this on the whole thing.
It's going to be there the whole show. We'll just have Loka. Whoever wants to follow Loka,
if someone
hit him up.
Oh, here we go. I can add his other comment. I can change the comment.
Hey, okay. Well,
can I just say, if all we had,
there we go.
We had
appreciate the comments.
We just had a nice background music for the whole thing. That wouldn't say a lot about what we're talking about, would it?
Yeah.
That was the comment.
Guys, we did the intro. The intro's gone on for about 45 minutes now.
Let's just dive into it, Jayden. Let's do it.
I was bizarrely, I had my mobile here and I was actually listening to you guys while I was trying to do the thing, and absolute brilliant intro. Teacher, good morning. Loka, following you all. Loka, really appreciate the support. As you can tell, between the three of us, actually Burge is probably the most technical person. This is why you should be doing all this streaming stuff in the background.
Yeah,
the two old boys should not be doing this shit. I'm gonna just scale things back because obviously I've just jumped on the live, guys. I apologize for the long intros, especially people listening back on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. I know it takes a bit of time for that, but it's just a way of us sharing it in the background so these lives get more exposure. Let's just dive straight into it, guys. Obviously, we've got a brilliant show lined up. I say show; it's actually just a chat between friends, enthusiasts. We've got Simon with his niche nuggets, because usually me and Burge are sat here thinking, what's he going on about? So we've actually just given him a bit of a section to just unleash. I know Simon, you've fallen in love with the Del Mondos, which I believe a few of them are listening in. Actually, I really, really buy into your spidey senses, Simon. There's these things, I just think, you've got something. You've got this eye for stuff, and you're like, no. And because you've had a business before, and you've got this kind of life experience or whatever, you understand this stuff, and you can see it. You can see effort, and you like buying into the people behind it, which I really like as well. But let's just scale things back. The entire market has been a complete shitstorm because, and I say because of not because of one person. Obviously, Trump announces this Kevin Walsh as the new Fed chair, likely to take over in mid-May. The entire, somewhat ironically, all the gold and silver bugs who were sniggering at us, in Bitcoin and Ethereum and digital assets, were going, no. And Peter Schiff was having a field day on the timeline about Bitcoin being a bunch of bullshit. And now all of these commodities are coming down because this new Kevin Walsh guy is kind of, he's more hawkish on inflation, which so people are trying to front run that. And silver's dropped by like 28%, gold 10%. What are you guys making with what's happening in the market at the moment? And obviously Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's the only asset that people can get access to on a weekend, is they're selling that off. So obviously buy other stuff. I don't know. What are you guys making of it?
Burge, what's your thoughts?
I did think, when I first saw the market crash, crypto, I was like, okay, what's going on here? you know.
Not again.
But we've seen a few crashes in the last few months, so I was like, you know, I wasn't freaking out necessarily.
Yeah.
But then I was also remembering that I'd seen a couple of tweets and I'd heard from a couple of friends that, you know, some of the tech stocks were down. So I had a look at those tech stocks. I had a look at, you know, maybe Tesla or Coinbase, for example. And then I hear, you know, on the timeline, I see gold and silver is down. Hold on a second. Because usually something usually goes up when something goes down. So what we have been seeing, right, is gold just surging, silver just surging, but crypto not doing too well. And then stocks somewhere in between, like it ebbs and flows a bit. But everything was down. And so I was kind of seeing like this cross-market wide crash, which in my opinion is not a good sign at all. That being said, I'm also, you know, then we have that PMI index come out, or that score come out, and it's like 4 points higher than the forecast. So it's just a bunch of mixed signals. I'm very, very confused with what the market is doing right now, and what caused that crash. Maybe, as you said, Jayden, maybe it was the new chair. But yeah, honestly, like I didn't expect all of these different independent markets to all crash without really there being any big news that would kind of warrant a crash of that type. You know, it was almost like, you know, we had taken another step closer towards World War III, and that was why all the markets crashed. But obviously we haven't, so I don't really know what was going on there. Not too much that I can really comment on, you know, why gold and silver has retraced. I mean, I guess what I would say, if you were really to isolate gold and silver, they'd been surging and going up and up and up. I mean, it can't carry on forever. So you usually do see a retraction the other way when an asset just goes exponentially up. That's the only real comment I have.
Simon, do you have any thoughts on it?
I was just thinking at a more general level, kind of macro perspective, because I can't see exactly specifically what one thing is. And then if you put it into something like Grok, you go, what do you think is the reason for this? It'll say, well, it's a mix of things. It's a combination of things, which is maybe true, maybe not, but it's a little bit kind of doesn't really get to the heart of it. And I've been thinking, I thought about it this morning, thinking, you know, you have the fear and greed index. And fear is seriously there. I also wondered whether there was a little sense of just a lack of trust generally. You know, these things all have a way of cascading when you look, without going into the Epstein files necessarily. when you look at this kind of, when things are happening, it's not feeling a particularly palatable place generally, everything. And I wonder if these things have a knock-on effect in an indirect way, you know. So it's not just fear, it's like, you know, what the hell's going on here? What can we trust? What can't we trust? And people just feeling a little bit frozen about stuff. You know, when you have a fight, flight and freeze kind of responses, it's almost like people are in a little bit of a freeze situation. They're not even now going into gold and silver particularly. They're just frozen in time, and it makes me feel that maybe we need something really specific to give this a boost, because actually, as you said, Burge, when we were saying earlier, there are a lot of really positive potential factors in the air that should be really making this a very different story. That's how I'm seeing it. There's something going on more fundamental.
Yeah, I mean, Simon, I totally agree with you. I think I try and keep it simple, which is if the economy is going to be better in the future, people will have more money in their pockets for discretionary spending. And I think what people try and do, I mean, I'm seeing a bunch of bullshit on the timeline now. The Epstein thing about it, him being an insider and him funding the first 3 devs that created Bitcoin. You should see, obviously I've branched out into Instagram, which is part of the reason why we had an issue with the fucking live stream. But you should see the comments that I'm getting from people on there about, and I think people actually, they buy into these conspiracy theories because they're trying to create a philosophy out of something that's very simple. If the economy's good, which I think is going to be in Burge, you mentioned a great thing, which is that PMI index. That's like the thing that all of the macro big boys use as their investing framework. So it's the ISM, which is like it stands for the Institute of Supply Managers Survey. and it's like the lead signal into what the economy is going to do. And what it does is it kind of tells you what productivity is going to happen, if new orders are happening, how much old stock people are, and what these supply chain professionals anticipate the economy's going to do. That then leads to productivity, which leads to corporate profits, which leads to stock market prices. So this gives you a big lead, and this is why everyone uses that signal that you're talking about, Burge. But I think a lot of people are like, they've gone through the whole thing of comparing Bitcoin to M2 money supply. Now they're like, oh, this is like the new M2 money supply that people are comparing, this ISM thing. But just think about it simply. If interest rates come down and money is easier to come by and you can refinance all your stuff and you have extra discretionary spending. I mean, just look at the three of us. If we have more money, we're buying NFTs. So it just becomes a product of financial conditions, not to overthink this stuff. But there's, like you say, Simon, there's a mix of people playing the old 4-year cycle, then people turning into a bit of a philosophy. But actually, I think what is happening, there was some very clever person that Kevin Walsh, they got all of his comments. So
from ages ago.
Yeah. So basically what they did was so everyone's selling gold. This is what an absolute head shaft the entire market is, because they look at someone and they go, oh, he's going to be more hawkish on inflation, which means that I shouldn't be in commodities. And that's why all the gold and silver's coming down. But actually they got some clever internet sleuth, got all of his comments over like a 20-year period, and they matched it up and they put it on a chart in terms of dovish or hawkish comments. And actually he was more hawkish during the Democrat years when Obama was in, and he's now more dovish now that Trump is in, which gives you a kind of an idea of what his political leanings are, because there's a whole political hockey puck game being played here. So there's that element of it. But there is a wider view that actually we've been in a down market for a pretty long time now, and there's no signals that anything that's happening in the market is overheated. So he's probably just going to get at. There is a very good chance that when he gets, I don't even know what it's called, like inaugurated, or it gets announced as the new Fed chair, that he's just going to drop interest rates. He's just going to drop them very quickly so they can roll the debt. And if they roll the debt, all these assets just rise optically. Burge, you've got something to share on there. I'll just add it onto the screen. Is this the?
Yeah, this is the PMI. So if I can try and make it a little bit bigger, I don't know how big it's going to go, but this is basically talking about, the last 6 months of what you said, the ISM PMI index, Purchasing Managers Index. And you can see here, basically September 2025, you got the actual and the forecast were about, the actual was 48.7, the forecast was 49, and that follows suit. They're all, those numbers are always very close. So in October, November, December, January, and then in February this year, you have the actual as 52.6, but it was only forecast as 48.5. So there's a 4-point difference there. And, obviously that's a massively positive signal. I mean, the only time that it's been higher than the forecast was back in October, and it was only 0.1 higher. This is 4.1. We're talking 4.1 points.
Yeah. Burge, I've just got obviously you're doing the technical bits now because my laptop needs chucking in the bin. But I had a video. Yeah, absolutely. So this was a video from Mike Novogratz, who's basically he went into business with Gary V. I think he owns Candy Digital, billionaire, early Bitcoin investor, and just listen to what he has to say about Bitcoin and the current state of it.
Bitcoin was not supposed to act like this. Something went wrong. I think we're getting close to the bottom, but we'll see.
You're fresh off the conference call this morning, and you said that, quote, pain is part of the ethos of this whole industry.
Unfortunately,
I mean,
that's true.
How much more pain is ahead?
Listen, you never actually know where markets bottom. When Bitcoin went through 100,000, that was a major level that it broke down on. And so, when I look at the chart, 70 to 100 is probably the new range. And, we're at 76. So I think we're towards the bottom end of of the range. There's a lot of pessimism out there. A lot of leverage has been taken out of the system. Bitcoin was not supposed to act like this, right? You had gold prices higher, the NASDAQ higher, rates going lower. This was the Trump administration was very pro crypto. And so, something went wrong. The crypto market is still less than 20 years old, right? Right. I think Bitcoin 09, so we're 16 years old, and it's immature. We had a huge run up from where people bought it at 50, 100, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, all the way to 100, 130,000. And I think what ended up happening was people finally started taking profits. After we crossed 100, it felt like the community had won. And it was that sigh of relief, like we did it. We created this amazing ecosystem, this amazing asset. And there's been kind of like a seller's virus that got into the market. People blamed it on quantum. I don't think quantum in the long run is really the reason. I think there was selling, and that selling is getting, executed in the market. There was buying, sure, lots of new institutions are coming in, but prices are set on the margin, and there have been more sellers than buyers. I think we're getting close to the bottom, but we'll see. You always know a bottom after you see it. And listen, there's a couple things that could help, right? Market structure.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that what I kind of read into that is he doesn't actually know. And this is the thing. It's like,
and no one does.
This is a guy who's a successful billionaire, very early stage investor in Bitcoin, hot on the pulse of things, and he's just like, it's not supposed to be done. It's not fucking supposed to. It's like that meme on.
It's what me and Simon said as well.
It's like that meme on X where it goes, "Can someone call the devs because the project's broken or whatever?" It's just like, it's like fucking hell. If he doesn't know, we're all fucked. And the thing I always lean on is, and this is a Raoul Pal thing, which is, whenever you come away from a macro framework, which is how well the economy is doing, and you lean into things like a philosophy, and he was philosophizing a little bit, saying, "Oh yeah, we did it, and we got to 100K, and it's us, the community," and he's trying to spin it into a good thing, but it's just financial conditions. If people have more money, which they haven't done, because we know, and I keep repeating, it's like £7 a pint here in the UK. Although Burge is doing a little meetup on the 24th, and he's maybe haggled some free drink.
You'll get a free drink and food, and you get
pizza,
and you get a free hug from Burge. The good thing about Burge actually organizing the in-person meetups is he's about 100 foot tall, so he's just like so when you go to these meetups and there's loads of people, you just say, "Oh, just look for me." Just look for me. And
you can't miss me.
We all look the same height, but I'm about 4 foot. Burge is about 900 foot. If you look at his head, it's actually quite close to the ceiling.
The ceiling stops right. It's right out of picture.
I'm only joking, but I guess the punchline is there. No one really knows. Simon, it sounded like you had something to add in.
Well, no, I was just going to say, I think there's a point about a lot of people saying the OGs who were there from the very beginning selling because if you'd held an asset from a few dollars up to 100,000 and you were concerned that the cycle was playing out and was going to top very soon anyway, you can see why some of them would do that. But the other thing is, and I know it's obvious and people say this a lot, but if all the conditions are fantastic, I mean, potentially very good, at least, and what might be coming up, then you have to say, what about some manipulation going on here? Because the big boys and girls are in town, the investment, the banks, the whoever it might be, the Black Rocks, and they do have a motivation to suppress prices and to scare people out. So there is an element of that, but of course, none of us really know. And all you can focus in on is what you can control, as opposed to worrying about what you can't. And buy Del Mondo's.
Yeah.
I'm only joking.
See, the thing about being in a private group with you, Simon, is we have not heard the end of this Del Mondo's thing, and it's.
I know. I'm so sorry. It's terrible.
We have to lean into it. Polymarket have bets on how many times you say figgy during the no, I'm taking
my hero Figgy from the other side.
Yeah. We're just obviously there's been some purchasing on the timeline. I'm just messaging Burge now to try and get it up, but Adam Weitzman has purchased 200 Moonbirds off of the back of Spencer. I think it's formerly Spencer Ventures. I think the name of his firm now is different, something Orange or something. I think he drove 4 hours to go and see him. I'll just get this up.
I
on the
saw
screen.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, wrong Adam.
We'll just wrong Adam.
But we'll come on to him in a minute.
Okay.
Oh, him. Yes.
It's Adam Weitzman. But
oh yeah, I did see that tweet actually.
There is a trend now of some of these bigger buyers buying into these collections. Spencer apparently, by all accounts, drove 4 hours to see Adam. They had a meeting together, obviously explained the vision of Moonbirds. Spencer's taken over the project. There's been a little bit of controversy on the timeline. Actually, when I hear Spencer speak, it's probably the first time I've heard him a little bit nervous, kind of speaking. But in fairness to him, he's taken the project from like 0.25 floor to 4.5. They do the TGE, it drops down below 1 ETH, and then it stabilizes because Adam now buys 200 of these things. So this is kind of like twofold. I can see a kind of influencer style collaboration that these NFT projects do with some of these people who are getting a lot of awareness. No one knew who Adam Weitzman was, certainly on X. He's got 17 million followers on Instagram. So he's got a shit ton of followers. I think he's got a shit ton of followers on. So and he's a very successful businessman. I think this is now going to be this kind of collaborative strategy with these guys. And obviously Adam's doing it out of benevolence. He's just trying to help projects that he believes in, which is amazing for the space. But he is always going to, if that becomes a significant IP, he's going to be a figurehead in that project forever because he's now one of the biggest collectors. And people, and you saw a little bit of it with I don't know who the guy was that bought all the apes. He had like 100 apes or something, and he got like 50,000-60,000 followers on X, and people were looking at him as like a bit of a key opinion leader, and they were listening to what he had to say. And actually, when you got onto the Spaces calls, people wanted to hear what their views were because clearly they had conviction in the project. So I think this could be like influencer marketing 2.0 for Web3. But that's just kind of my views on it. What did you make of the purchase? Did you guys even see it? I know you've got it on there now, Burge.
I did see that, and I thought, as you say, he's a really lovely guy. He comes across really well, very humble, and I genuinely get the feeling that he is doing it because he just absolutely has been taken with the space. It's really captured his imagination, and he wants to get behind people who are really working hard and have done for a while in this space. As you know, he's spent a lot, invested a lot in the other side, Yuga assets, Bored Apes, and all that sort of stuff, and the coders. He's doing the same for a lot of collections. One thing that has struck me just recently was, you know how I think it's just not very cool for people to start saying, Adam, come over here. Have you seen our collection? You know, when people just try too hard and it doesn't feel classy. It would actually, if I was him, he's such a lovely person that I'm sure he's aware of that people will do this and he forgives that, if you like. But I think if I was him, I wouldn't be tempted by people screaming in my face, have you bought this, have you bought that? I think what he's doing is judging people by their hard work and their integrity and the way they do things. That's why he did that with the chap he's gone into with the heavy metal, because he really appreciated the hard work that guy was doing, his conviction, because he sees the same in himself. he started with conviction. I saw that, that video where he said, they said, "Is it great being in this position you are and all that work?" He said, "Have you seen the color of my eyes? They're as serious as you are." I'm
they asked him,
you know what I mean?
Message,
so I think he appreciates people who just get on with it and do it and care, rather than people who tell him, "Come over here, why don't you buy some of ours?"
That's a very good point, Simon. Bert, do you have any thoughts on that? Should I get that up on the share screen again?
Yeah. So unpacking this tweet a little bit. Very interesting that they both, Spencer drove 4 hours.
Just for the audio listeners, but just read the tweet out.
Of course, yeah. So this is Adam Weitzman's tweet. He said, when Spencer drives 4 hours last night in the dark to visit you in the brutal cold Binghamton, New York for an hour at dinner to explain his vision for the future of Moonbirds, then turns right back around and drives straight back home another 4 hours. He's very serious about his community and project. I've just made a large investment last night to help play my part and show my full support and confidence to it. Very excited to add 200 Moonbirds to my collection and become one of the largest holders. The future looks very bright. So to unpack that a little bit, obviously that meeting must have gone very well. I don't know if this was a meeting where he'd already planned to acquire, a serious amount of Moonbirds, and this meeting was really more of a formality or more as like maybe more of like an extra because he was already committed to doing that. I don't know. Or maybe it was genuinely like he sat down, wanted to know what Spencer's vision was, and was very impressed, and then decided to take that type of leap and put a serious amount of money towards sweeping the floor of Moonbirds. For me personally, the jury's still out on Spencer. I've heard a lot of positive comments. I think it was we were on the live last week or the week before, and I brought up Garga's comments of Spencer, and he said, he's one of the top 5 smartest people in crypto right now. For me personally, I still feel like Spencer is a crypto guy rather than an NFT guy. And so I don't know how that will marry up when it comes to running a project. But what I would say is there's by no means I wish him absolutely the best. And I want all these projects to succeed. I want Moonbirds to succeed. I think the way they did their TGE, me and Jayden, we talked about it a little bit. We might have gone a different route. We might have looked more into strategy tokens, but they wanted to go that route, and all power to them. I hope it's successful. In the past, Spencer did make a good point, which was in the past, that nesting or that vesting of that token, of the Moonbirds, led to some of the highest floor price, some of the highest valuations of Moonbirds ever. Back when they did nesting last, Moonbirds got up to a 40 floor. So, maybe he is onto something there. Maybe he has got, a really, really good strategy. But to me personally, I just see him from a few of the comments I've heard and hearing him on some spaces and on some live streams, I just feel like he's a crypto guy, not an NFT guy. And I wonder what that will mean for the future of the project.
Simon, you have any thoughts?
No, I wasn't listening in on that. And I don't know enough about him and about Moonbirds, to be honest with you. It's not something that I've really I try and cover about as many millions of different collections as I can.
Yeah, well, it's interesting.
I slip through.
I have some thoughts on it. I've listened to Spencer for a while now because he's very smart and he understands his stuff. And actually, in these Spaces calls, it was the first time I'd ever heard him a little bit nervous. And we get nervous on these live streams, and we're all human. And it doesn't actually signal into anything apart from maybe he wasn't as confident with what he's saying. And obviously, people were challenging him on the strategy tokens because clearly there is a disconnect with the token generation event and the token strategy stuff. The token strategy stuff is a lot smoother, and it's a lot more of a fairer system for everyone, really. The only thing that's not going to enable him to do is, from the token generation event, is add value to maybe investors or initial NFT holders. he can't do it in the same way because he's got to market by his own token. So there is going to be this disconnect, and he's kind of gone with it anyway. I think the thing that I didn't appreciate is that he didn't try and attack the strategy, the token strategy stuff, but he just kind of said like, oh, the math doesn't work out. And he's a maths person. He's saying, oh no, actually the rake, if you add the rake up, there's kind of like shrinkage with each transaction because it's going towards punk strategy. And he's saying, well, you may as well just fork it and not have that go to punk strategy and then actually keep it in the ecosystem. And that would be fine. But we've already seen with World of Women that kind of hasn't worked because this is an ecosystem play. There are people getting behind the ecosystem. And I used the example on a previous live stream where these strategy tokens kind of work as like an index. You go on there and you see some performing and you try a little bit. It's like going to a buffet. You know, we get into these different ones. And then all of a sudden, because there's a transformation, because you've purchased something, now you're kind of in the funnel. And now you're looking at the NFTs going, oh, maybe I will buy an NFT for 0.7 or 0.8 because now I've got, you know, a couple of grand in the token, which is performing, which I feel good about because the business perform. And what he's trying to do, and I know he's a nice guy, so I'm not going to, but he's telling people almost to ignore basic pattern recognition. No, the TG works better because of this. No. Just say, this is why we're doing it. We have certain funding that we need to grow this IP. I have a certain vision. The strategy token is not going to do that. But then the question becomes, why not just give equity away in the business versus trying to get deals done through a token, which is going to have sell pressure, and then you hurt everyone. There's different ways of raising money. I mean, I looked before the call. I think he paid like $20 million for Moonbirds, the IP off of Yuga Labs, which is formerly Kevin Rose's thing or whatever. But he's obviously got money. And he obviously knows what he's doing. And I don't think
I didn't know that, to be honest.
Yeah.
20 million. Wow.
Yeah. So he was formerly of Spencer Ventures. I don't know if they were like an investment firm taking other people's money and investing it or whatever. But those are my thoughts. It's going to be interesting. And like some snarky comment put on my Instagram earlier, time will tell. When I put an NFT post out about NFTs are going to be the next rotation. Time will tell with these sorts of things, and we can kind of talk about it and share it on the timeline. But it's going to be gone.
Yeah, I think he thinks that the TGE, like the way of going, that route of going, you know, similar to what Pudgy's done with Pengu, similar to what Bored Ape has done with the Ape coin. I think he thinks it's got a much higher ceiling. You know, he wants to be up there. I think from how I kind of listen to him, and as Simon said, I don't know him well enough to be honest. I don't really know Moonbirds too deeply either. But I just think he wants to be up there with those giants, with Bored Ape, and with Pudgy. And I think he wants to, that he almost wants to follow in those footsteps, wants to launch this token. You're 100% right. I think he thinks, you know, this will allow him to do some deals, perhaps, but he'll be able to shoot for making a much higher token. Whereas I think a much higher like market cap on this token, for example. Whereas I think with a strategy token, you're actually playing the slow game. Like Good Vibes Club, I think they are fully aware of what they chose to do. I think they gave it some time, I'm sure, to, do we launch a TGE? Or do we go and try and make a strategy token our ecosystem token? And I feel like they went with the strategy token because they're not interested in the short term. I think they're interested in the slow game, the long game. And that's really because you're not going to see any of these strategy tokens go crazy until we have the NFT market come back. Until we have a bull market again, right? Strategy tokens aren't going to go crazy. But I don't think that's a problem for Good Vibes Club. They're actually making it successful anyway, even in a down market. You're seeing them make moves. And we've seen it with, you know, whether it was punk strategy or whether it was vibe strategy or chimp strategy, you've seen some of them, sometimes when there's downward pressure on the whole market, they actually don't do so bad. They actually stabilize a little bit. They don't go down. I mean, eventually they do obviously follow suit, but maybe they weather the storm a little bit better. And yeah, I just feel like Good Vibes Club aren't interested in playing that quick, fast game and trying to, maybe appease investors or trying to win for their holders in the short term. They want to win in the long term.
Yes, and they want to win for their communities first and foremost. They're thinking about how do we, Chimpers, Good Vibes Club, how do we drive value longer term and make this a central part of the ecosystem? And they obviously see a vision for being able to do that, and that they've decided that the strategy token is the best way of doing that long term.
Wait, I've got to come in here. So you're 100% right, but I've got to come in here because
what have you spotted?
I've just spotted someone's tagged us, right? I'm going to jump to this, Jayden, if we can. Someone's tagged us, and they've put, I blame this on Simon. And then they put, Jayden and Burge are the accomplices. They've just picked up, it's Tomato, Digital Tomato from the WoW community. They've picked up 2 Del Mondos. I wonder if we can put this up on the screen. This is amazing. This is...
Have they? How
tweeted
funny.
This out 47 seconds ago, so I just saw it.
Yes. How funny. Thank you. The one saying thank you as if I own bloody Del Mondos and I'm the founder or something.
Here it is. I blame this on Simon. Jayden and Birds are the accomplices.
Yeah.
Grab some Del Mundos.
Yeah.
I love reading that. Cool. Yeah, very, very fun. That's brilliant.
Just to kind of bring people up to speed, obviously Del Mondos was is an NFT project based out in the UK. Simon dived onto it straight away. Obviously, myself and Bert knew nothing about it because Simon is in some deep, dark rabbit hole of picking up these NFT projects. And me and Burge were kind of did the cardinal sin of making a judgment on something before actually going into it. And I was like, well, the art's kind of cool. And Burge was like, well, I can take it or leave it or whatever. And it turns out this thing pops off on the timeline, and Burge and Simon's spidey senses were spot on again. And we haven't actually heard the end of it because he just keeps on. I think he starts every sentence with Del Mondos or Figgy, and it's like it's
becoming a vocal tick. I can't actually stop saying it.
I'm going to take that off of there, but so what we've actually introduced as a result of these kind of geeky little things that we're all into. Obviously, we've all got our biases, but we've also got the things that we like and the reasons why we're doing it. I think for me, in fact, before we get onto that, I am going to get, and so we're going to do Simon's niche nuggets. He's going to drill down into his niche things because obviously we all got our things that we're into. I'm just kind of like, want to maximize my capital allocation. Bird's probably a bit the same, but he leans towards being more of a trader. Whereas Simon kind of leans into the team. He wants to know about them, wants to join the community, wants to go to the meetups, wants to know their star sign. Yeah, tell me about the adversity you went through as a child.
Yes, backstory.
Show me on the teddy where the mat. No, I'm joking. Monkey brain going again. Right, I've got to share the screen. So this is something that so this is Adam Rhinotic, or I think his surname is Levitt. Tomato, haha, prefer Simon's approach. Thanks, Tomato. So Adam Levitt, I know he's a young guy. I know that he has just maybe by accident created this thing, this perpetual flywheel, which is this most extraordinary thing that's probably going to have some lasting impact on the space. But I will say I was really disappointed in this tweet. And I'll read it out now that Burge has shared it, which is, I worked on 4 or 5 ideas since Punk Strategy and have yet to launch any of them as I feared I would compete attention-wise with my golden goose. Now that I've completed the last feature on my list, getting listies on Seaport, I believe it's time to keep creating new ideas on Ethereum and trying to expand the token worth network and hopefully Punk Strategy as a byproduct. I know he means well. I know the reason why he's created this idea is because they're a byproduct of the previous 10 ideas that didn't work. So he's got to keep creating. But once you've found something, it's just like double down on it. If you go through all the comments, obviously we won't go through the comments because it's not fair to share other people's comments. But I think once you've got something, it's like double down on it. And like my only, not criticism, but just critique or things that I was seeing from a distance is the issue that Punkstrat or PNKSTR is going to have is discoverability. So now it's like, this is not just going to stand on its own two legs. There'll be other things that come out and try and eat its lunch. And I think there's got to be some strategic way of driving attention. He's obviously making money out of it. There's got to be, in my opinion, there's a clear role for a client relationship manager that bridges the gap between Punk Strategy and the NFT projects. There should be people going out there, reaching out and spelling this thing out to NFT projects, saying, this is how you're going to launch a coin. We will do all the heavy lifting. You don't need all the legal, carry on the devs or anything like that. You're going to launch this coin, and it's going to work smoothly. It's going to be you're going to market by it. It's going to be a fair launch system. And I was really disappointed in that tweet. And I actually showed in the price. I know the price has gone down anyway, but I was disappointed in his tweet on that. And it's just my personal opinion. He's done a lot of.
I agree as well. I mean, one of the things that I've been like constantly bringing up in the last week or so is what happened to all the strategy tokens. I mean, they had so much interest when this all kicked off, right? All these different projects that wanted to launch a strategy token, and they were inundated with requests. At least that's what we were led to believe, and I'm pretty sure it was true, because we heard it from WoW, right? You know, WoW wanted to do a strategy token with them directly, and they said, "Look, we can't prioritize you right now," and that's why WoW ended up forking in the end. But if you're inundated with all these requests to launch strategy tokens, and that's obviously what's going to expand the ecosystem, make it stronger, and also it's all going to lead into Punk Strategy, which is the king or the queen of the ecosystem. Then why wouldn't you, like, I don't know how we've gone from, you know, a time when we were all together, we were waiting for the next strategy tokens. We had 5 strategy tokens in a week. We've gone from 5 to 0 in, or 0 or maybe 1 if you count. I mean, Crypto Skulls, obviously that was 1. So maybe 0 or 1 in the last month. I mean, how have we gone from 5 a week to 0 or 1 in the past month? Like, I don't understand why they wouldn't have kept that at least that cadence of regularly launching new strategy tokens for existing NFT projects, or even new NFT projects. I mean, Del Mundo's would be a perfect example of, you know, or Zards. You know, if they were interested in doing a strategy token, then why not talk to those devs and those founders and work with them to launch a strategy token? Like, it's only going to, you get more and more of these great projects into the ecosystem. You know, maybe they wanted to keep maybe they wanted to have a bit more quality in there. We'll focus on quality projects first. But I also believe that they should take that jump and that leap of faith with some of the new projects like Del Mundo's, or even a project like Zards, because I think there's potential there. And maybe not all of them will be successful projects, but maybe some of them will be, and that will hopefully translate to the strategy token, and will be a net positive for the ecosystem. So I'm just really, really confused.
I agree.
How
I
they
do
went
have a thought on that.
How they went from those two things.
Go on, Tom.
Yeah, but I totally agree with you. And what I'm thinking is that things will kick back in. I wonder whether when NFTs start going again and start really moving, and then this triggers these purchases and these activations within strategy token, whether that will actually start to create a bit of momentum, which will then spark some interest and feed it back to Adam and the team, that maybe he's now waiting for the machine to do its bit once things are really, really activated in the NFT space. And the other thing I was going to say is, you know, that whole thing about focus on what you can control, what you can't control. I wonder whether it really means that some people, some teams, some groups of people need to get together and say, well, if they're not going to take a lead on it, and we're passionate about how this whole thing works, and particularly Punkster, what can we do as a group or a few people, not us, but some people, to start to put it out there and to create momentum ourselves. If he's not going to do it, is it possible for other people to do it? And of course, you'll get Chimpers and Good Vibes Club who will be, I'm sure, regularly and constantly doing their bit for their tokens. But it might mean that Adam's basically saying, over to you, everyone, until this space starts triggering everything, I'm going to let you guys run with it.
Yeah, I think it's spot on what you're saying, Simon. I think I've seen a lot of this where the community take the lead and share an idea, but what ends up happening is that idea gets diluted and people don't understand it.
Yeah.
So the explanation needs to come from the creator and the messaging. It's a bit like it's a bit like if someone builds a brand, there has to be an individual visionary that pushes the message of it, because if not, it becomes diluted. It's like I've done something before. We've grown a community and then got them to push out communication about the brand, but then it becomes diluted, and then people start saying phrases like referring to it as cheap, and what they mean is actually affordable or whatever, and then all of a sudden this diluted message of your brand gets out. Whereas I think, Adam comes from a real philosophical angle when it comes to crypto, and I think he needs to kind of meet himself somewhere in the middle, because he's sort of like, no, I don't want to be the arbiter of picking these projects. Well, these are network adoption models, and you need to get as many strong communities in this network to allow that strength, because if it stagnates the way it is, hey, it may not. I've got a very strong feeling that those 39 punks, or however many are in the protocol, are going to sell, and they're going to create buy pressure, but also it's going to create the attention flows that go back onto it. One of the things he says in that message is that he's actually just got a self-sustaining marketing thing, because all of these, like Burge, like you've mentioned, all of these sales become an event. So people are buying into this event, and when these punks get to 100 ETH, which they probably will, these become big events on the timeline, and people go, oh, another one sold.
And it sparks again. Yeah. Maybe he's just not that kind of the thing is, maybe he doesn't feel comfortable in himself being that kind of figurehead, that vocal figurehead. Maybe that's part of his personality.
But if that was the case, you would have thought someone around him, Simon, would be able to take up that mantle. If he doesn't see himself as like, he doesn't really want to be that person posting on the timeline, marketing token strategy, and really taking the mantle,
interviews and all that kind of stuff.
Interviews, yeah. Maybe he doesn't want to do that, or maybe he's such a creative guy. Maybe it's this. Maybe he's so creative, he wants to explore his 5 other ideas.
He wants to move on. Yeah,
he almost wants to move on. I think. But I think as the creator, kind of what Jayden was saying, as the creator, what he should do is he should give the mantle to someone else that he trusts and has a direct line with him, so that they can help keep the golden goose going and growing and successful. But they can always, have that direct line with Adam, where they can have that conversation, have those conversations, and help it, and help make sure that it's always in the right direction, and that Adam is on board, and Adam can always help out. There's no reason why we can't free Adam to go and do these other, exciting initiatives or projects, because maybe one of those will be even bigger. Who knows? But I just think he has this kind of responsibility to make sure, the golden goose, the one that really did well, he doesn't just let it like shrivel and die. And I just don't understand why there's not more strategy tokens coming out.
Maybe you should, Burge. Maybe you should volunteer.
Yeah, maybe I should reach out. I mean,
because I think you're passionate about it. You know about it, and
when we went to the World of Women,
sorry, it's your responsibility, and you need to tell me to do. Yeah.
When we went to the World of Women meetup, Burge was there with a PowerPoint presentation, basically saying, "This is." You know that meme where the guy looks at the whiteboard and he's got a cigarette in his mouth and he's like, and he's talking about punk strategy. If no one, like, obviously to us, it just makes absolute sense. But I think for this to be an ecosystem-wide thing, and for people not to eat Adam's lunch here, or the punk strategy lunch, he's got to do some deliberate outreach. There's got to be some type of even networking, because even if you look at the Good Vibes Club and the Chimpers Chimpers took it on because they were communicating with Good Vibes Club. So this was like the founders talking to each other versus. I'm not saying Jacob or Oliver didn't speak to Adam, but this was more. They were speaking between each other, and they said, "Right, this is going to be a thing." And now they've, Chimpers have done the debates in royalties, which is perfect because now they've got a self-sustaining model. Actually, going back to Moonbirds, they don't have a royalty system, so which buys into the TGE stuff a bit more, which I find fascinating. I think again, Spencer's got this philosophy or not, but he's actually got to now actually create a business that's going to drive revenue outside of the royalties, and he's got to try and sustain a floor price without any royalties and a TGE. So he's got two different ecosystems. This shit's hard enough as it is. So, but obviously we spoke about that. We've touched on it. We're going to move on to the next phase of the show, which is Niche Nuggets by Simon. And I will give just a bit of background about why this is.
I'm poised.
Is because usually me and Burge are sat here like we're looking at each other. We got a little we message on the phones because we don't want it to come up on the screen, and also we're messaging in the private chat. We're like, what is he talking about? Should we know about this? Is this something that so Simon gets down this so far down the edge of the risk curve. He's like hanging out with Tom Hanks from Castaway or something on a
I know
on a kayak. So over to you, Simon, for Niche Nuggets.
Yeah, and can I just say that when you say what is he going on about, it sounds like you're speaking to an old guy in a care home, rambling in the corner. What's he actually talking about? Go and have a little word with him. It's like that. But
you pick up the detail more than some of the young bucks do, mate. And honestly, I don't even look at the age thing. It's you that mentions the age thing.
I know I do, which I've got to stop doing. Well, talking of which, I'm going to do this really quick, but I think I do have to put a nod without going on about it to Del Mundo's. But to say the niche part of it is just the whole backstory and the creation over 4 years and I have a sense that the team, probably not as old as me, but I sense they are a certain vintage because of their love of certain music and fashion, from Hendrix to whoever else might be, David Byrne. And I just get a nod, a sense of that from the team because they've been there. They've had many, many years in marketing, fashion. They've built up things before. They've had successful careers. And of course, clearly they connected long-term friends, school friends, had an idea in times of COVID. And have run with it. And the thing I find amazing about this, I did about you guys, taking 4 years to build something at painstaking pace, the detail, the physical attributes of it, and then going through a whole process of photography, then go through a whole process of what color combinations are right in terms of the assets, which has a nod to fashion big time for me. But I think what's incredible is, would you commit to something like that and then go, we're just going to let it run, we're just going to put it out into the world, and we're going to put it out for free? We've done I'm so impetuous with things. About 2 years in, I would have said, guys, look, someone else might do this who we may not know, can we just get on with it now? But they have painstakingly planned, and they've got a lot of stuff going on. So just to say that, and also clearly the work is very original. I can see why they have the same face, because it's Ray Del Mundo, who is the fourth person as they see him in the group. And so there's a consistency there. But they've also used Ray I, not AI, to create a backstory for each of the characters, each of the people. So when you dig into the details and you go to about, Ray, using his amazing Ray I, has, from his own vision of the project, created an about me for every single 10,000 NFT. And I won't go, but lots of people know about the backstory of the physicals and how they've created it. But I just wanted to put a nod to them. And I have actually said, I would love for the founders to come on and talk to you, Jayden. And maybe I might chip in a nerdy way.
Definitely.
And I've also invited them. I've invited everyone to your event, Burge. But I'll say one last thing about them. When you get a real sense that and the collections come along that is an important collection. It's sort of representing a little moment in the NFT journey. It's very different. There's a phrase they use, something like, we put it out in the world for free because we have a philosophy: the tighter your grip, the looser your hold, which I thought was a really lovely way of putting it. If you hold on too tight and try and control everything, like pricing of that, you've got to put it out in the world. And the final thing they said, it's really obvious to do physicals. Everyone's saying, what about physicals? What about physicals? They said, that's really, it's too obvious. We need to do stuff that's different and is going to surprise you, and we are going to surprise you. And I imagine it's something to do with fashion, music. I imagine it's something along there. And they've been planning for 4 years, so they got things in the pipe work. So that was that very brief thing, and I'm not plugging it and shitting it because I'm trying to do it for any reason other than I think it's an important collection.
Mate, I think you're absolutely spot on that. One of the things I admire about collections who certainly take 4 years, same with Good Vibes Club, is the fact that they would have gone through a period of time watching other projects mint out like $2, $3, $4, $5 million at a time when it was actually really easy to do. And they obviously could have done it. So they've been working on this in the pipeline. And like you say, like when that kind of urge is there to kind of get something through because you can, because the financial incentive, and to not forego that and actually just do it properly, I think is
amazing.
It shows the integrity.
It's interesting. Exactly, Jayden. And you know, with Chimpers, you know, when they released, it was in bearish times. You know, they're coming at the end of the whole thing, and they therefore became really robust and focused. And it's interesting that right now things aren't great, and there's good old Del Mundo's doing things. People powered positivity, isn't it? Other niche nuggets. Shall I just give you them really quick?
Yeah, well,
or do you want to catch on
Del Mundo's? You said they're minted for free. I assume there's a royalty, is there, baked into the contract, or?
Yeah, we were talking about this in the group last night, weren't we? In our private group, but some people were saying, I think it's 10%.
Right. Do you think that's high for trading?
I mean, I don't even think about it myself personally when I'm doing this, but that's just me probably too involved in the collection. But I think it feels that's the give and take of what they've decided to do.
I guess it's no different to fund strategy, so we're here buying that. So it's like
exactly. And also they remember, they're very, just one last thing, they're very much into big ethos is recycling. And so everything they do consciously is wanting to put value back, but not at the expense of certain, processes.
Just before you go on with your thing, Simon, I'm just going to shout
out. I got my phone here.
Tomato said, I'm broke now, Simon. Don't make me FOMO again.
So yes, I saw that. I'm so sorry, Tomato. Jayden will donate one to you. I will donate one to you.
You keep pitching me in to donate stuff. Thanks, mate.
I know. Thank you.
Right.
My pleasure. So everyone would have seen this, I'm sure. But you know the MetaMask rewards that are coming through?
Yes.
I don't know if anyone's picked up their avatar for the other side yet, which you can within the wallet.
Because again,
MetaMask have partnered. Part of one of the things they're giving away is their partnership with Otherside. And there are 2 levels of avatar or NFTs. One is the one for those people who've accrued X amount of points in the rewards. And there's another one that is for a little bit more rewards. And they're on Ape Chain. And I think you can buy the sort of the higher level one for about 78, which is probably about $15 or something at the moment. Just so you know that. And that's there to be claimed. And I was also interested that MetaMask have got these moving into tokenized real world assets, which is interesting. So literally, I wrote down here, buy, hold and trade over 200 tokenized US stocks, Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, etc., which is something interesting. Moving on quickly, I love the fact that teams are building, and a shout out to World of Women who are building Wow World, which when you look at the spiel a bit on it is, we believe it's important to have a place for our family to collect, participate and get rewarded. So that a platform, this will allow us to create fun activations, push initiatives and track sentiment. So I think that's really great that people are doing that. Didn't know that Ape Chain has consistently delivered the second highest creator royalties in NFTs since it began, second only to Ethereum.
Are they enforced on 8chain?
Wow.
Say again?
Are they enforced on 8chain, or can people who are trading on there just put it to zero?
God, I'm so terrible with things like that. I don't know for sure. There may be a choice. I don't know. Maybe there isn't actually. But I thought it just shows you, there's such a good value for some of them for what they're actually doing as teams. And it's amazing because of the price of Ape coin. And I thought it shows you how much activity is going on.
G's on Ape or something.
Yeah, I'm another one I'm obsessed with, G's on Ape. I do get rather obsessed. It's got to stop it.
It's good.
And then the final thing is OpenClaw, the AI. It's been over all my timeline when I say AI. I asked ChatGPT to give me an analogy of the difference between it and OpenClaw, and it said, well, if you and I, Simon, he's got to know me a bit, said sadly, very sadly, said something. So look, if I and you operate as strategists and planners and idea makers, OpenClaw will carry out those activations and take over your laptop and do all the stuff. So a lot of people, and I included, I've seen V from World of Women say, I'm out to get my second hand or my other laptop. You need to really put it, I think, if you're going to do it, on a laptop, a second one, an old one, free up some space, doesn't take up a lot of space, and you can set it up. And it sees itself as a messaging system. So I think a lot of your communication would be through Telegram with it or through WhatsApp. But what it does is literally carry out tasks for you. So it will email things for you. It will go on to X or LinkedIn if you program it to. And you could say, every 3 hours, I want you to report back, having gone into LinkedIn and searched for anyone who might be looking for the kind of services that I provide, and report back to me with a summary of that. It could even post things for you on your behalf. So it's this new super kind of AI, agent. And I'm just looking here about some of the things it said, but I was just really blown away, and a lot of people are blown away by it. ChatGPT is like the strategist or advisor who decides what should be done. OpenClaw is like a digital assistant who uses the computer you put it on at a local level, not a cloud level, to carry out those instructions. So it can see and interact with the computer screen, move a mouse and type on a keyboard, open and navigate websites, run applications and programs, copy and move information between tools, and a whole lot more. And I just thought, I was speaking to a colleague yesterday who were the only two people who are nerdy in the consultancy, and he said to me, oh my God, this is now, I've completely opened up a whole new thing. And so it'll be interesting to see how that develops, and also how it marries with the world of NFTs and crypto and what people might be doing with it. And that's my niche nugget.
Simon, niche nuggets.
Niche nuggets, nerdy nuggets.
That's what we've actually named it, niche nuggets, but we're going to have that segment. Burge has got some things to share. Simon, thank you very much for that, mate.
Because not at all. No, not at all.
You are hot on the pulse, my friend. Just gonna shout out. There's someone on Substack who's just dropped me a message. Horse Steak. I just want to give him a shout out for being a regular listener of the live stream, also sharing it, which I really appreciate. They've got a question that doesn't quite add to the context of what we're doing here, but Horse Steak, really appreciate it. Bud, I'm going to add what you've got up here, Bud. Looks like
so we got a few things to kind of cover. So we got Nike is sunsetting .swoosh. So if you've ever made a .swoosh account, it was basically like it would make a wallet for you when you made your account. That's being sunset now. So if you do have a .swoosh account and you have collectibles on there, you need to export it out by May the 5th this year. This one was a fun little tweet. I mean, I know we talked about Adam more in kind of like, we disagreed in some sense of his previous tweet that we shared, but this one here would be a fun one, Jayden. If ETH went down another $1,000, which obviously wouldn't be great for the ecosystem, but what we would see, we'd see a whole bunch of punks sell that would have been the relisted protocol punks, and that could mean some crazy action in terms.
Why would they sell?
Punk strategy.
Just because of ETH dropping. Sorry.
Yeah, ETH would drop, and then obviously the Punk floor would drop a lot. Sorry, the price for a Punk would drop a lot. And I think he's saying here he thinks a lot of people would jump in. I mean, here's another tweet to kind of share to complement that. You got these kind of saying here. So we had a Punk sell for $55,000, and these is saying like if it hit 50K. I'd be close to dumping my Bitcoin and buying another Punk. So I think there's a lot of people if Punks got to too low of a dollar price, they would be willing to jump in and buy them up. Yeah.
So they're price anchoring themselves probably to this 50 grand mark or whatever, and they're just going, right, if it goes below that, then I'm going to buy.
Here was a really interesting thing I wanted to share. So
this is the IP business. Okay.
You've got,
I can grow it year over year. As I grow it, it markets the NFTs, it markets the token. This is a business that's been done 100 times before. There's a recipe and there's a proven track record to grow this from 0 to $1 billion. Takes some time. It's like a steady incline. The crypto business is like this and like this. Ultimately, this is really important for the crypto side because eventually there's a minimum price in which like all of our assets can be, right? So as long as this goes up, like there's a certain price where a Pengu token is probably really around like where it's at today, where it's like the true enterprise value of this line is around what the Pengu token's at today, which is like 300 million bucks. You know, Doge is worth $40 billion, $30 billion. But this is creating something that Doge doesn't have, which is I'm getting more views on social every day than Doge is getting. I'm selling more products than Doge is getting. I'm in more homes than Doge is in. I have more games and products that people love and enjoy than Doge. Right. And eventually my Elons and the people of power that like move.
So I'm gonna stop it there. So he talked about games. Now here's an insight into a game that they've been working on, Pudgy World.
So just on that video though, I think he makes a really good point about what his strategy is. So he's playing the attention game in terms of getting his IP into households. I mean, I've seen people share those GIFs in chats that people don't even know it's an NFT project, or share it on social media. So
people follow the Instagram. They've got millions of followers, and probably most of them don't even realize it's an NFT project.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, mate.
They're working on this game here, and you know, this reminds me a lot of. This would be, I think, what they're trying to do is work on like a new age Club Penguin. So Club Penguin was this massive game, but obviously very, very old, shut down recently. And Club Penguin was used as this kind of social game. It was pretty, I think it was 2D-ish. I mean, I guess it had 3D elements. I think what they're trying to create here is another kind of viral internet game where people can connect with each other from all around the world. And, you know, if they're already familiar to people on Instagram and on TikTok, and they've already created a game, they've already had a game that's been pretty successful on the App Store, which was based after Fall Guys, which is that kind of like racing, that game where you race and you try and get to the finish line first as a character. So Fall Guys is a very popular game. There was a lot of clones of that game. Pudgy made one of their, I think it was called Pudgy Party, and that was their version of a Fall Guys type game. This is kind of a sneak peek from Loki of what Pudgy World could look like. And it gives me kind of Club Penguin vibes. It gives me kind of Animal Crossing vibes. There is a significant world. There's a significant possibility of this game becoming viral. And the reason why I think that's important is because we've seen a lot of NFT gaming attempts. Not many, not many of them have been successful, you know, even garnered really any real attention from traditional gamers. But if this game becomes something that traditional gamers or just people that aren't into NFTs and crypto start to play and continue playing, that could be a big deal. I think gaming is going to be a conversation that continues to be brought up when we talk about NFTs in the next 5 or 10 years. I think it will be significant, the amount of overlap that we have from gaming and NFTs. And this looks like the real deal. I mean, it looks decent. It looks like a decent start.
I like that. Yeah.
I like it. Did you have anything you want to share there, Burge?
The last thing I had was this is an interesting one. Elon has now hit a net worth of $850 billion. No one, I don't think, has ever, as an individual, hit a net worth of $1 trillion. And he's now even closer than he was before to that. I think this is kind of following the news. Obviously, Tesla is one side of the equation, but you've also got some of these private companies that haven't gone public yet. You have XAI is a private company with a lot of investors. You also have SpaceX, and I think they've just merged in a $2 trillion deal or something crazy. And I think that's what's led to this recent rise in net worth. Really interesting what that means for kind of the world that we live in. You know, with someone who's got that much money. I mean, we saw it with the last election in the US where he was able to, you know, take one side and support them. I just think it's a really interesting world that we live in where, you know, someone could have that amount of wealth. And, you know, those three companies, XAI, which is using X, the platform that we use every day, NFT and crypto space. He's using X to help train that AI. You got SpaceX, which is obviously really, really exciting company trying to journey to Mars in the next 5 or 10 years. And then you've got Tesla as well, which is trying to, you know, it's an EV company, but it's also looking at clean energy. It's also looking at robotics. You know, we've got obviously they've been working on the drones or the robots that we've been seeing. So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting one. And then the last thing, I'll just play this. It's only 34 seconds. It's from OpenSea. This is their
Wow.
I think it's a really cool ad. I'm not gonna lie.
That is very cool.
I could definitely see this like attracting people from the outside. You got the Chimpa store there.
I love it.
Very cool ad. Very cool ad. Good job from them.
I love it.
I think OpenSea we're going to talk about a lot more, especially with the C token coming out soon.
Yeah,
I agree. And can I just say, Burge, you know, I might have niche nuggets. You have your own Burge bites.
Burge's bangers.
Burge bites. It's got to happen.
Burge bites or Burge
bites? Oh yeah, I don't know.
Bites, little insights.
No, I like bangers. Just
Burge's bangers.
To put it for the community.
Because also there's a sexual element that we can twist it and just because obviously we're incredibly childish.
We're really wholesome and family orientated.
Burge, thanks so much for sharing that. I did notice on that video how VFriends wasn't included in there.
Yeah, I know.
It does kind of show the unconscious bias. I mean, like I know everyone wants to support their bags and stuff. This is a VFriends world, and everyone else is just living in it. I'm sorry, Simon. I know you want to punch me in the face.
No, I know.
But it is.
We're all inside VFriends, even OpenSea.
I mean, I think over the last like few months, I would say several months, I think VFriends has clearly established itself as a top 25 project. I mean, I think, and Jayden thinks it's much higher than that, but at the minimum, a top 25 project. And yet still I saw today, Jayden, I saw in a list of someone basically talking about projects, what they were priced at in 2021 and what they're now priced at. They had at the top of that list Mechaverse, a great example of a project that shouldn't have been as high as it was in 2021 and has completely crashed. In the same list, they had VFriends. I mean, the cheek to put VFriends in there. I mean, VFriends has arguably weathered the storm better than most, if not all, other projects. I mean, you know, it's definitely in probably the top 5 projects that has weathered the recent, you know, down market. I mean, we see it with Series 2. If you look now at OpenSea and you go to tokens and what's changed, like the top like 7-day change or 24-hour change or 30-day change, you'll see VFriends and VFriends Series 2 there.
There is currently steam coming out of Simon's ears at the moment.
No, you know, I've invested in a VFriends Series 2 because you've caught my imagination with it. But I was just about to say, and we nearly got through this without mentioning VFriends. I almost said, and that's it, folks. It's see you next week.
Jayden got triggered by that video. I mean, I wasn't going to mention it, but I did note that as well. And then I got triggered by someone on the timeline. So that's what happened.
It's just the thing that everyone's missing. It's like VFriends is the one. It's the fucking one.
Yeah.
When it's being faded this much,
when
it's being faded this much, I think the opportunity becomes even greater. Because if it wasn't faded as much as it is, I think it'd be much higher. But I also don't mind. I think it actually it will add to the story. In the end, it will add to the story, and there'll be some fun stories where we'll be able to look back on, these times, and we'll be able to talk to OGs and be like, why didn't you buy a VFriends? Like, what was going on there? And they will be like, I faded
G's on ape.
Tomato is onto something here, because it's a strategy for us to clip this bit of the video. Oh, why aren't VFriends on there? And then tag Gary in it 500 times to get on the show with us. Because
absolutely.
But I'm only joking. Tomato, thanks for your input. I really appreciate that, guys. We're obviously coming towards the end here. Firstly, I'd just like to apologize to everyone for the technical issues we had at the beginning of the call. Kind of moved on from that, but we'll make sure we nail it next time. Guys, in terms of what you're looking at the moment, obviously this market downturn has not been ideal. I think things are going to pick up in the not so distant future. Are you guys buying any NFT projects? Are you looking at any coins? Burge, I know you were big on Punk Strategy. Simon, yes. I know you're buying Del Mondos.
I bought far too many.
How many have you got now?
Well, I'm not a massive bit, but I've got 30 at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Well, I accidentally bought 30. No, I think I saw someone, and I may be wrong here, who posted something who said, I've only got a few NFTs, only one type of NFT, and it said 129.
Oh, wow.
But I've got to say, I did not mint. I didn't get in at the very low prices. I came in a little bit later. I have bought a few dips. But I know, but it's a little problem I have with Del Mondos at the moment. You're just going to have to bear with me.
The beauty of you, Simon, is you just get what you like.
I do. I just get what I like. Yeah. And also, like other people in this collection, they're buying above the floor price at rares, which I think is always a good sign. They're not just buying the floor.
I like that. Burge, anything?
Nothing. I mean, I definitely, whenever Punk Strategy retraces and comes down to a low price, I always consider buying again. I think right now I'm at a nice point where I feel like I hold enough. And obviously you always got that problem of, what do you sell off to pivot into something else, or where's that extra capital coming from? One thing I would say is I've just looked up Del Mondos. I think Simon is still in probably the top 50 holders. There is a few wallets that hold like 3 figures worth. I think there's 10 or 15 wallets that hold between 100 and 300 Del Mondos. And I just want to shout out Tomato's comment as well. She said, I like Burgess Bites, but yeah, Web3, Burgess Bangers probably works better.
Nice. Yes.
Burgess Bangers.
Burgess Bangers.
Because we've already gone with nuggets, so we can't have any more buffet food.
Yeah.
Canapes. Burgess canapes.
No.
Well, if you want my canapes, come along to the event that I'm hosting, Soho, London, Tuesday the 24th of February. It's a new series of events. It's called On-Chain Society, and the idea is to invite and bring together a bunch of different NFT communities and people from the crypto space in the UK. So if you're in the UK or visiting the UK, come join us Tuesday the 24th of February. It'll be in the evening, and it'll be in Soho, London. Just DM me and I'll send you the link.
Perfect, my man. Simon, Burge, thank you for another great episode. This was good fun.
Really enjoyable.
To those who want to catch up on the live stream, it's going to be on YouTube, Apple Podcast, or you can just go to carrotlane.com and you'll find it on there. In fact, if you put your email in, it'll get emailed straight to your inbox. Guys, thanks for joining. It's been a good one, despite the technical issues, but we'll move on from that Love you guys. And till next week, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. We'll catch you next week. Cheers, guys.
See you,
everyone.
See you later.